So today I just kind of wanted to talk about D2 and kind of my gaming history and everything like that. Um, I've been playing forever, like a lot of you guys probably. I go all the way back to 1.09. Um, I played a little bit before 1.09, but I used to just borrow my friend's game, so I don't know for sure if I was playing 1.08, 1.09, or if I was playing 1.09 and just doing single player. It was such a long time ago. I also played a little bit of D1 shortly before I was playing D2. And man, I could tell you something. Back then, I used to play pretty much every day for like a year or two. I could remember I would have a bunch of friends at my door that were never up to any good, begging me to come outside to, go do stupid stuff with them. And I would always reject them because I just wanted to play my damn game. And, I think it kept me out of trouble. And that's for damn sure. And I can remember some of my earliest characters I've had. The ones that I remember is I've always had some sort of MF Sork, a Magic Find Sorceress, probably Frozen Orb. Would always try to get like an Oculus, a Shaco, and a Skulders, and just whatever else I can from there. Another cool character I remember having back 1.09 was an Amazon. We used to just go into the cows and do multi-shot, and it was pretty good. You would get a lot of kills doing multi-shot, and I had a ballista for a while. That used to be a hot item for the average Joe playing that game. If you had a ballista, you were kind of just doing some kind of tank damage. And then I can remember getting 4015s. Well, not 4015s, like 35, 35 ED, 15 IS, jewels, something like that. Putting them in a vamp gaze and just shooting a little bit faster because that ballista was slow. And yeah, that was a fun character. And then I always was a barb player. Like the character I've put a majority of my time into was always a barbarian. I never really played necro. I never really played assassin. I had a hammered in a couple times, it just back in LOD I was bought in to get some experience, but I was always a barb guy. And I could remember back in 1.09, people used to make private games like Transfer 1-1. Like the game name was Transfer 1 and the password was 1. And I always used to check that. And one day I went into a, a transfer game. I did transfer like 2 and the password was 2. And I go in the game and the guy clicks on me, opens the trade screen, passes 2 grandfathers and hits the green check. And I hit the green check and I bounce out of that game. He must have thought I was his, I was a kid. Like now I wouldn't have done that. But, I was like, holy shit, 2 grandfathers. Because for any noob back then, the grandfather was like a elite mainstream weapon. They did have some magic items. I believe it was like the Cruel Colossus Blade of Quickness, and there was a few other weapons like that had 3 open sockets, 40 IAS. You could put like ED Max jewels in them or whatever you wanted to. But I don't think many people had those back then. But if you had a grandfather, you were like the man walking around with that yellow sword. Everybody was like, "Oh shit!" And I remember I got 2, and I was quite happy, man. And they were slow, but they had good damage for what they were. I could remember just dual wielding those grandfathers. Um, and I got to 99 for my first time on a barbarian. I think that is the only time in 1.09 and it was through cows. Leveling wasn't as hard. Like you could get 99. I don't remember it being easy, but I remember it was like reasonable, you know? And I just remember grinding it out, having those grandfathers. I forgot what armor I was using. I think I might have traded for like a Valor, an Arcane's Valor. I definitely had like an area space. Can't remember. I might have been using like IK gloves and, you know, can't really remember. It was so long ago, but I remember getting 99 on that character. And back then you couldn't restat your characters. Now when you play, everybody's restatting their characters like every second. And in a way, I'm going to argue that ruined the game because it's like you don't have to commit to a build or gear. Like everybody just, uses gear for a day and then restats. And, there was something about having multiple characters with gear set for each one because if you level a guy to 98 and, you're committed to that build. And yeah, I understand the advantages of restatting, but back then, man, you were married to that build. And then so, I got lots of I used to have like mules full of Shakos and like vamp gazes and stuff. I'm telling you, man. I was on US West. I think I'm the originator of this. I remember some dude like try to scam me in Act Two where you drop it and you can only grab it from one side of the wall. So I made this up, man. I made a game called Help Me Transfer. And I was a kid, man. Like this was very BM of me. I would never do this now. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. It was just a game to me. But I used to make a game like Help Me Transfer, and then like I would show people like I had these good game items, well decent. Like I'd show them like my Shako and my grandfather. I'd be like, hey, I need to transfer this. How do I know I could trust you? So I would take them to Act Two and be like, if I trust you, drop your item. Let me see you not run. And I would do that, and like I would grab their Shako through the wall and freaking like leave the game. And I had mules. I probably had like two or three mules just full of like Shakos. And I think I remember just being in like the trade chat, like 10x Shakos here for like SOJ. I forgot what I did. But I remember a couple times fucking cashing those Shakos out to kind of get some currency and stuff like that. But boy, yeah, it was different. You couldn't just post stuff. You had to sit in a trade chat all day and spam the chat to hopefully find an item you're looking for. So then I really started getting in. I was like a 99 barb in 1.09. I had grandfather and valor. I would get my ass kicked. I made friends with some guys that were pretty good at barb versus barb on US West. One of them I still talk to this day. His name is Andrew. Uh, he lives in Canada. He's probably drunk somewhere right now. Who knows? But talk to him once in a while. But I can remember in 1.09 meeting a few guys that were probably older and they were more hardcore. They probably had more money to buy gear. And they were using the CCBQs, Crew Classes Blade Quickness. I remember one guy, he had a 3-socket blade with a life leech on it because back then you would stack strength if you were barb versus barb. You would stack strength, stack life leech, which took a percentage of your damage. And um, life leech was valuable. And I remember him having that life leech 3-socket sword. I forget what he put in it, but lots of times people were using ED max jewels. Max damage right now doesn't work as good as it used to, but back then guys would use like armors of the whale. I guess this was pre fort, and they would stack 40 15s in it, 40 ED, 15 maxes, four of them on a whale armor. And I can remember them using vamp gazes for the leech. I think some guys had 3-socket helms with life. I don't remember exactly. And 40 15 max in it as well. I remember a lot of them using vamp gazes as well because you got the damage reduction, you got the life leech, and all that stuff. And they were pretty badass. But so then I got into the barb versus barb world at that point. And I remember that 1.01 dropped. And one of those guys showed me Like people didn't know about this, but he had an Ariat's face, and it was an ethereal one, and he removed the Zod out of it because you were able at 1.10, you were able to clear now able to clear sockets, but there was a glitch that if you cleared a socket out of an ethereal item with a Zod, and that item had to have been Zodded at 1.09, that indestructible stayed. So I remember hurrying up, trading like hell to get Ariat's face and an ethereal Ariat's face. I remember trading for a bunch of them. Like I probably traded like for 5 of them, and then the Zod didn't clear because the Zod was put in 1.10. And then eventually I got one. I think it was like the 5th one I bought, just trading everything I had because those helmets were so awesome. And I finally got one. And I think it was a 170. I remember it. It was a 176 ED, 6% life lead, Ariat space, ethereal. And I cleared the Zod out of it and that indestructible state. And I was happy as hell, man. And then same thing with the Valor. So then it became unknown. This was a pre Fortitude, and Arcane's Valor was debatably, if not the best. I think Enigma just started rolling out around then. I'm a little bit rusty on that, but I remember Barb versus Barb, Arcane's Valor was really good. And I remember doing the same thing with the Valor, and after a couple shots, I got a +2 Barb, 178 ED Valor, and I got the indestructible mod to stay when I cleared the Zod out. And then soon after that, they fixed that glitch, and those items remain though. They're legit items. That was one of my greatest memory. And to this day on LOD, check some of my old videos out. I still those 2 items, the glitch Valor and the glitch area, those were some of the items that are like the most nostalgic to me because I was hunting for them. And I was barb versus barbing whirlwind duels with those G Valors and G Ariots, and they were awesome back then. And yeah, well, I just wanted to put this video out there, see what you guys thought. Please watch my other videos. I'm trying to upload a lot of like fun barbarian builds, doing some PVM, doing it's all on I did some on LOD. Now I'm doing some on D2R, and I'm just trying to do some really fun builds. I get it, grief and fort, it's fun, but it's the best in slot. But I'm trying to do some other builds that are surprisingly cool, especially because now you can use IAS for whirlwind in your gear. So that kind of opens the door to some other weapons. Whereas in LOD, IAS was restricted to your weapon. So now I'm having a lot of fun with that, getting some IAS gear, whether it's like dual socket helmets or dual socket armors. I'm trying to get an armor of the whale with 4 sockets. They're quite expensive, but I think if you get an armor of the whale and you get like the Thunder Maul or the Ibati Warpike or even Hellslayer or something, like you could that's probably a badass weapon if you can get the IAS to the last breakpoint. But yeah, that's all I got for now. Please subscribe to my channel. Um, watch some of my videos. I'm really putting a lot of effort into getting the gear and getting these videos out there to just kind of document what you could do. And yeah, that's all. Thank you. Bye.